Welcome to the Real MacKay, the Scotland Today video blog. Quite a lot happening today, not least of which is the rail strike, which is causing disruption to commuters across Scotland, and we're well across that. But this global economic crisis is not going away, despite the money that's been pumped in, certainly by the US government, and proposals in Britain for something similar. And we see already this morning, at this stage in the morning, talking just before 10 o'clock, Royal Bank of Scotland shares are down by a third. So, Howard Simpson is producing and Tom Lowe is news gathering today, and we're going to find out how can we, from a Scottish perspective, do this global story. Howard, that's a simple question.
Yeah, nice for a Tuesday morning. The issue for us, of course, is that the major networks will be covering the story. So it's, as you say, how you make it relevant to a Scottish audience. And you could argue that most people out there from our news tonight want to know when the trains are coming back. So you might have a situation where we lead on that story. And this, terrible situation in the money markets is a second story when, of course, it's a global near depression going on. So it's a difficult one for us to balance out in running order terms. But we have to make it relevant to our audience, obviously. So we've tasked our Westminster correspondent, our political correspondent, with coming up with some concepts and ideas today about making recapitalisation something for our audience to understand. So it's going to be a tough one for us, but one we've got to grapple with because it's something which is acutely problematic for everyone, including our audience, obviously. And
you mentioned the rail strike there, and Tom, you've been sort of organising our coverage of that. Who's where and what will we find out at 6 o'clock?
Well, Howard mentioned this is a vital story for our audience because they're going to be affected later on today in the mornings, getting to work, they're going to be frustrated. So it's important that we cover it and kind of hit the nail on the head with this story, really. So we'll send Mike Edwards out. He'll go down to one of the signalling centres in Motherwell, where he'll update the audience on our 11 o'clock bulletin later on this morning. He'll see the walkout of the signal workers there, interview relevant people, and then he'll travel around Glasgow in the city centre and just try and mop up and speak to people who are affected by this strike. We also have newsrooms in Edinburgh who will do a similar thing, and of course our colleagues up north who around Aberdeen that way, which there'll be a lot of people affected up there too. So we'll just try and get a real kind of grasping of across Scotland of who's affected, why they're affected, and why this is taking place.
Okay, Tom. And so not a bad news day overall.
It's a very strong news day. We've got a lot of other elements that can make it the best news programme in Scotland, obviously. So
it is, yes. We keep hearing this other programme is the most watched news programme in Scotland, and it's not. Why are they so insecure about they keep on saying that? You don't have an opinion on that?
Well, obviously, I'd be loath to say anything on camera, John, but we don't need to keep saying it to our audience because we know what our audience think.
Absolutely. So, watch the most watched news programme in Scotland tonight, 6 o'clock. Find out what's happening in the markets, find out what's happening in the trains, plus if it's happening in Scotland today, as we like to say, you'll find about it in Scotland Today.